very much. Welcome to a wild Saturday night here in Granville, Ohio. The old Bandersnatch. I'd like to keep things rolling right along with this carnival-like atmosphere that we've already created here.
When I arrived at Denison in '64 as a freshman, it was common to hear an acoustic guitar being played in the dorm or on the academic quad. I brought my guitar and 5-string banjo to campus, and I met Dan Inhout, class of '67, as he hammered away on his Gibson 12-string in the reverberant stairwell of Smith Hall. We looked for a place where we could practice and perform alongside other musicians. Slater Union was out. There was no room there, and besides, its bowling alley and TV lounge just didn't fit the intimate coffeehouse atmosphere we were after. By the fall of 1965, we had discovered an unoccupied basement of East Talbot Hall, one of Denison's oldest campus buildings, and one scheduled for demolition, and we dubbed it, appropriately, The Cave. Administrators allowed Dan and me to become its co-managers, and it was up to us to make it work. We were given a key to its door, and opening night was scheduled for October 23, 1965. The Cave was painted by fellow students, and Denison donated the chairs and a rug for our 6-foot stage. We rigged up our own Radio Shack microphones and some primitive incandescent spotlights. A crew of co-ed singers showed up to paint the windows black. The room held about 80 people in a squeeze, and admission to cover the costs, if charged at all, was 50 cents. Despite the growing popularity of the cave, it had no restrooms, heat, or running water, so I renewed my search that fall to find another venue for the coffee house, somewhere on the hill.
The idea of a coffee house was proposed by the DCA in the fall of 1967. Talbot Hall had been razed, and with it, the cave. The Denisonian, for October 7, 1967, page 3, quotes Dave Gibbons, Executive Secretary of the DCA. He envisions the coffee house as an informal gathering place for students, with attractions of food and occasional entertainment.
Denison allowed us to use the back of the dining hall in the Colwell House, and I became its first salaried student manager. The signature feature of the space was a large multi-pane window facing west, which Nancy Connor, class of '68, an art major and fellow artist, turned into a stained glass window, made with hand-cut cellophane panels glued to the glass. Connor suggested that an artist's interpretation of Lewis Carroll's poem, Jabberwocky, from Through the Looking Glass, and what Alice found there. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite and the claws that catch. Beware the Jub-Jub bird and shun, the frumious Bandersnatch. And with that, the venue had a new name. As the spring opening approached, I wanted a special act to launch our first night. So, I called John Denver and asked if he and the Mitchell Trio would come up to the Bandersnatch as our grand opening performance.
It may be time to address the future of the Bandersnatch. The primary reason why we did not want to extend the D permit to the Bandersnatch was that there is no university control, oversight, or governance of that facility as there is with Slater and Lamson. Greg and I agree that the lower level of Huffman, southeast side, left-hand side of the basement is underutilized.
What do you think people like about the Bandersnatch?
Honestly, I think just like the general atmosphere.
Bagels.
The music.
It's very laid back.
How artsy it is.
I like the art.
The walls.
Drawings on the wall, the writing on the wall.
The floor.
There's always something to look at.
This place just seemed like a completely different space than even like what even the most creative parts of campus like Eisner or Bryant even look like.
When you go to Huffman and Curtis, there's like country music playing and it's weird. But you come here and like the music is actually good.
The people.
It's a place for all these weird college kids who are so stressed. Just get a good old cheap bagel and milkshake and be little fatties. And sorry, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I don't actually mean it. I don't think that people are fat. I'm just saying. Anyway, it's
would like to think we get most Denison demographics at the Bandersnatch.
Bands are always in here.
Greek life.
Drunk frat and sorority girls who came from G-Dance.
Athletes.
A bunch of freshmen too.
And being like, yeah, I'm wearing a projectile. Your blouse.
I was hired and applied my first semester at Denison. So it was fall of 2021.
I worked Wednesday close, so shifts would end at like 3. It wouldn't leave until like 3 a.m., 3:30.
I wasn't trained at all. I just got thrown in there behind the kitchen.
I think it's a little bit part of the culture to be rambunctious, be a little, have your own way about things.
It used to be more chill and laid back.
We didn't have as much pressure from the actual Denison, like, administration, faculty, that whole entity to cut a profit.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's like food, t-shirts, fun stuff, Chipotle.
So we're gonna be open from 11 to 5.
We, the students of Denison University, are adults, and I think Denison forgets that a lot of times and are so afraid of something bad happening on their university's name that they try to control silly aspects of student organizations. Example, at the Bandersnatch, we have Cards Against Humanity cards that are in place of giving your name for your order. So instead of saying, I'm Bryn, I would say, blah, 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 and I would read a card. We had to move to the family edition of Cards Against Humanity because faculty and clique felt it would be too dangerous to have regular Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, it's part of the charm of the Bandersnatch.
It's too relaxed right now. We need that tension back one way or another.
There's a difference between hazing and bullying. And hazing's not okay. Bullying is good. Or bullying's not good, but
If you have problems with words on a card, you're not allowed to think about hazing.
people should be able to say whatever they want. Any words ever.
Get a load of this all.
Hazing, it's not hazing or bullying because it's not compulsory.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
one said you had to pick a card. If you want to choose a name, you can do that.
Quiz for the group. Peter, you're a piece of shit. Also, Peter, if you're gonna be friends with my friend group that you have to pay dues to every semester and we live in a house together, you have to do this or else I'm gonna call you a piece of shit. Now go do my laundry. Which one's hazing and which one's bullying?
Listen, I totally understand some of the cards in the basic Cards Against Humanity pack we can get rid of them. We don't need to be yelling those things. But some of the things, like, just didn't make sense to me, and it felt very censoring, like they were trying to censor us, as well as we have a lot of writing up on our walls, and I was told that I had to go through and cover every swear word or prolific, like, drawing. So basically, cartoon penises. I was told I had to cover cartoon penises in case that offended someone. If that would offend you, I'm really sorry for what I'm gonna say next. Come on.
How do you feel about the rule about covering things up on the walls?
That's not cool. That's history. I mean, that's like one thing I noticed was that a lot of this, like if you come here,
I'm coming here.
the oldest tag I could find on this board is like from 2019. And I noticed there's a whole layer of purple paint in the back. So this is all pretty new. I'm wondering like how often people cover over this and how many layers there are that we'll never know about again.
Yeah. No, we apparently were supposed to cover up. There was this thing that said erectile dysfunction, and Patrick Fina was like, "We need to cover that up because what if someone with erectile dysfunction comes to the snatch and they see that and they feel made
it's
fun
awareness
of?"
building. That's not anti-erectile
It's like,
dysfunction.
they know they have erectile
That's
dysfunction whether or
normalizing.
not it's written on the wall. Like, they feel shitty about that no matter what. Because I write the words of what they have. Like,
That's a pretty
being
like,
stupid.
That's
I
Carl.
feel like he may know who wrote that.
I like snow hole, and that's one that I was told to cover up. 18 to 21-year-olds should be trusted to run a space and not have mass destruction ensue. I think sometimes Denison forgets that we are being prepared for the real world, and they kind of baby us a little bit because it's just been a student-run business for so long, at least as long as I can remember. We want to create a successful business to be able to run on campus and provide just a space, food, fun for peers. And I think Denison intervening on that more than they do right now would just kind of ruin a little bit of that.
We wanted to encourage artistic expression, no matter how bizarre.
I picked up my bag, went looking for a place to hide. I saw Carmen and the devil walking side by side. I said, hey,
One time they called it a bomb threat on the Bandersnatch.
Tell me about that.
Just made it up.
That 7 out of 10.
Dude,
That's a pretty.
2 10s.
2 10s.
How'd you get 7?
I think. Here's the thing.
I'm gonna rate your reading skills.
Remember my reading? I'm not reading it.
Oh, okay. Let's do it. Oh.
Wade, get out of here.
Barkley.
Barclay, get out of here.
Larry.
Chase Love,
Larry.
Chase Love, get out of here.
How do you feel about the customers at the Bandersnatch?